read a lot of books on sleep, right? And lack of sleep. Not, like we live in a society where, and I'm guilty of it. I've gotten much better where, sleep is for the weak. I only need to sleep 6 hours a night. But the role of lack of sleep with insulin resistance and negative consequences with sleep. Talk about your thoughts with that.
So right off the bat, you're below the benchmark. The consequence of that is, since I was in my 20s, I've always had this goal of because I'm very, to a fault sometimes. My girlfriend hates it, but I'm always trying to be the most productive I can at every given moment. It's just in my nature. And so one of the most productive things you could do is run off of less sleep. So I've tried, and no matter how much I've tried, if I don't get perfect amount of sleep, I can tell when I'm 5, 10, 15% off. So I've gotten to the point now where I'm like, okay, I'm going to be more productive if I just get the best amount of high quality sleep. So sleep is extremely important. The lack of quality sleep, which at this point I'm defining with patients about 7 hours of quality sleep. You will see, depending on your age, we're talking adults, 30 plus. Definitely more in that 8 to 9 range if you're in your 20s and teens for sure. But 7 hours of quality sleep. If you feel like your body still wants to get 8 or 9, then absolutely go for it. But if we had to set a standard somewhere, I say 7 of undisturbed. So right off the bat with my patients, we're telling them, if you're not getting 7, you're below the benchmark. And the consequence of that is elevated cortisol. And cortisol is an important hormone to understand because it gets a lot of negative rap and a lot of negative attention in the weight loss arena. Cortisol is a stress hormone, and cortisol in a normal situation is, I see a tiger, holy crap, I need to run for my life. Cortisol releases blood glucose spikes, which is great. You need that glucose so you can sprint your ass out of there and get to a safe environment. But not a lot of us are encountering tigers nowadays, and a lot of us are encountering mental stress. And the mental stress, and that's a fascinating debate as to why we're becoming so, I don't want to say weak, but there's a whole other debate as to why we're getting so susceptible to stress to begin with, which is triggering that, which is a whole other conversation. But what's happening is we are getting chronically stressed from many things: work, life, the idea of another pandemic coming, who knows? So the stress causes the cortisol. And if we are chronically doing that every day or multiple times a day or multiple times a week, independent of food now, we have the blood glucose spiking. And we just talked about blood glucose elevation as the initial trigger towards insulin levels being chronically elevated and then eventually insulin resistance. So this is a whole other pathway independent of food. You could be doing everything right and even stress levels managed and not getting quality sleep. So I want to make that part clear. Lack of quality sleep is a stressor. Stress is a stressor. So both of them, as far as what they do to the body, are the exact same scenario. They're just different things. So you have to get your stress levels under control as much as you have to get quality sleep. And either of them, the consequence is elevated cortisol, which now we talked about how that contributes to the difficulty of losing weight.